All good. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm seeing some familiar and repeat faces. It's really lovely to see you across many of our workshops. If you don't know, today's workshop is part of our How to Be a Fashion Revolutionary series, where we are upskilling our wonderful global community, that's you, with lots of useful fashion activism skills like storytelling, campaigning, community building, and of course today, educating. So with that, I would like to introduce today's workshop lead. We're going to be joined by the lovely Martina, the country coordinator of Fashion Revolution Slovakia, one of our EU teams that's really been pioneering in our education efforts. So I really look forward to this workshop. So yeah, over to you, Martina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mel. So welcome everybody. Welcome to our workshop, and my name is Martina Marekova Kuipers. I'm a Fashion Revolution country coordinator for Slovakia. I've been with Fashion Revolution since beginning, and over time our team went from raising awareness we shifted more towards the education, like to specific target groups. So before we begin, probably it would be nice to introduce ourselves. So if you would like to, you could probably say your name, where you are calling from which part of the world, and what is one fashion topic you would like to educate others on. So if you could start, thank you. Anybody? I can see some names popping up here. Okay, so we already have some in the chat. Great. Okay. So we have Berlin, London, Charlotte, London as well. Turkey. These are some great points you are making. Thank you for that. Consumption habits. So from the topics you are stating, you would like to educate on, basically these are topics what Fashion Revolution is dealing with. Chemicals used in garment production, can they be harmful for disabled people? Okay, great. And when it comes to change fashion consumption habits, that's the big problem within Europe. That's the whole Europe issue, I would say. Hi, Susan, Tech Secondary School, design student in Italy. Raise awareness. Yes, actually, when it comes to Slovakia, our team, we are focused on high schoolers, secondary school, and that's all about consumption habits and their investment into fashion and their fashion decisions. Environment aspects and thank you, Joanna from Cyprus. I think everybody is introduced, or no? Mel, what do you think? Shall we continue?
Yeah, let's continue. And if you haven't yet and want to, do say hello in the chat.
Okay, thank you. So today's workshop is a part of How to Be a Fashion Revolutionary workshop series, which are running now for Fashion Revolution Week 2024. The goal is to equip our community with and invite you to use these skills to join us for the next decade of fashion activism. If you enjoy this workshop, you might also enjoy the final storytelling workshop we are running next Tuesday, which shares even more ways to creatively raise awareness and mobilize action. For today's workshop, we are exploring the power of the education to initiate positive change in society. And we will be specifically looking at what it takes to be a good educator and how to approach your audience using case studies from Fashion Revolution Slovakia. We will cover how to educate others and how to educate ourselves as educators. So what connection does the fashion revolution have with education? At first glance, the movement might seem to be focused on activism, campaigning, and improving conditions for garment workers. But as Nelson Mandela famously stated, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And in our team, we really believe in it, and we've seen already some outcomes. This principle is deeply relevant to the fashion revolution. Education plays a crucial role within not just spreading the information, but also empowering individuals to take a meaningful action. To effectively raise awareness in innovative ways, it is essential first to possess a deep understanding of the subject. As activists and campaigners, we have to stay informed about development within the fashion industry and broader societal and environmental impacts. Understanding the full scope of the issue allows us to combine this knowledge with our passion, and then we can engage creatively and effectively. So what truly makes someone a good educator? It is important to recognize that not every educator holds the formal title of a teacher, but every teacher should embody the qualities of the true educator. Being an educator goes beyond the mere transmission of information. It involves a deep-seated passion for the subject, empathy for learners, and also patience to educate effectively. So as an educator, we usually in our process do three main things. We bring the knowledge, which is knowledge is understanding and awareness of the information, concepts, methodologies, processes, and frameworks. Secondly, we are developing skills, skills are abilities and expertise in performing specific tasks in different environments. And the third one, which is the most difficult one, we are shifting attitudes. Attitudes refers to one's belief and feeling towards a particular subject, and educators can influence these by modeling positive behavior. And while bringing the knowledge and developing the skills is measurable almost like immediately after the activity, a shift in attitudes is more likely to be visible only over a long period of time. Education goes far beyond the classroom or some academic textbooks. It is a continuous process that occurs as we are going through the life. And as we want to raise awareness, it is crucial also for us to stay informed about the latest developments and communications within our movement, within Fashion Revolution, and within the topic of the fashion industry itself. But what exactly are these developments and how we can utilize them to educate others? And there is a variety of tools, educational tools and materials, such as reports on the state of the industry, updates on new policies, advocacy strategies, and success stories from around the world. Each of these resources offers valuable insight that can help us and others to understand the complexities of the fashion industry and the impact of our consumption pattern as well. So like most fashion revolutionaries, even our team started our activism work by asking the questions, who made my clothes and what's in my clothes? We all know very well these two questions, very simple questions, and they shift consumer attentions toward deeper understanding of their clothes and wardrobes and what's behind them. By considering like who is behind the making of our clothes and what materials are used, these questions bring a greater connection with our garments and also cultivate some sort of sense of value and respect for them. Up to this day, these two hashtags are a great way for us as revolutionaries to explore development and innovation happening within the fashion industry, and they are great also conversation starters. Since 2017, Fashion Revolution has been publishing Fashion Transparency Index, which is a very comprehensive report that can be used as a crucial educational tool. This report not only informs the public about the current state of transparency in the fashion industry, but also emphasizes our rights as consumers and citizens to access this information, to be able to have this information. It provides an annual snapshot that helps us understand how much or how little fashion brands disclose about their operations and supply chain. The Fashion Transparency Index over time has become a trusted source because it's verified information, and it's not only for public, but also for media and academic researchers. Following the report over years also reflects the progress within the field of the transparency in the fashion industry. Another great example of educating the public is our campaign Good Clothes, Fair Pay, launched in 2022. And to succeed with this campaign, we had to find creative ways to educate people on poverty paid in fashion, from infographics to stunts or to myth busting. And good campaigning not only raises awareness, but educates and also encourages advocacy and mobilize people towards a specific action. In this campaign, we had to explain over and over concept of minimum wage in aspect with the living wage, and we had to raise awareness about European citizens about their right to advocate and having power to change European legislation, and their power to lead the positive changes even outside of European Union. Fashion Revolution itself, as an initiative, has created educational materials, which is a key strategy in promoting transparent and fair fashion industry. These materials are being created for the last decade, so you can find them on obviously Fashion Revolution website. They're open source, and you can tailor them for diverse audiences, from young people to professionals, for consumers, for policymakers. They are more than just informative. They're actionable and relevant across various educational and professional settings. The content, again, is not only designed to inform, but also to inspire and provoke, not just thinking, but also encourage active participation and feedback from users. So in next slides, I would like to present you Fashion Revolution Slovakia team journey of educating and creating educational materials based on our own needs. Our team, to start with, we were mostly educators / teachers. So it was sort of natural and in our DNA. And as activists, we try to reach widely, educate public through media, social media, and even organizing. As you can imagine, this was very tiring because we were on many fields. Our target group formed over time and very organically, because the topic was in interest of young people who came to our organization, and they were mostly between 15 to 20 years old. They not only were as our supporters, but also they were active, like they were actively seeking for doing things. So at the end, they came up with own initiatives and happenings. The most important is that this group of young people came to us that they would like to be involved. So there was this interest. So there was no need of us to inspire them. They already were very initiative. And it came from sort of their frustration that their peers at schools, all these 16, 17 years old, had no idea about fashion industry and its impacts. So we had motivated a very active group of high school students or secondary school students, geographically based in Slovakia, Central Europe, and at the very beginning as well in Czech Republic, which is a next door country. After a few educational activities of us at their schools, we also seen the interest of other educators from these schools to be involved in this kind of education. So we decided to create educational materials to support these workshops and for these educators to be able to replicate or adapt the program we were doing. So one of the most important things as we educate is always to have on mind who is our learner. And I know we can go, since we can campaigning on many fields, it's very easy to get lost who we are talking to. But I find it very important that once we know who we are talking to and we see the world through their eyes, then we have better understanding of them and we can reach them more effectively. We need to stay focused. If we look at the world through the eyes of our target group or our learners, we need to consider their lives, their backgrounds, where they are coming from, their mindset, and we need to consider their needs, what they need. We do not educate them, or we shouldn't educate them on what we think it's good for them, or what we think they should be doing. We need to consider what they need and start from their point of view. Then they will be committed, and it will be actually useful if we do educational materials because they need them, not because we want them to need it, if it makes sense. So once we did this analysis, we also try to identify not just who they are, how they look at the world, but also what they know and what they don't know, what are their weak points, and all this helps, or it's a base for starting to search the ways how to approach them and set the right educational strategy for them. So now we will do a little exercise. If you can take a pen and paper, it's very easy, it's very simple. Today's exercise is not going to be complicated. Just take pen and paper. It's something what you will create for yourself. You don't need to share it. But we will try to make a picture of our target group. Why I'm saying this? Because also us or me, when we are doing some education or we're preparing some project or anything, it's very easy to lose the track who we are doing it for, and our minds start to wander own ways. So I keep this sort of like picture always on my table to see, okay, I'm doing this for these people, not for, because when you do something, it starts to ball, like a snowball, it starts to grow and grow, and you can go different ways. So if you have a pen and paper, now this exercise is designed to analyze and describe your own learners. So if you can make in the middle of the paper, just draw the picture like some sort of picture of person or some funny picture of the person. This is your learner. This is your person. You will be act like this person. So it's a person. I will be doing pictures with you. So it's the person who you already probably are working with, is somebody who would you like to work with. It can be the group of people around your team or your activities who formed organically, or it's probably some sort of group you see you might be beneficial there, so you would like to approach them somehow. So imagine one person representing this group. In sort of like bubbles around this person, write their description. One bubble can be for age, what age they are. They can be, I don't know, 15 to 20. I'll be doing this for Slovakia. Maybe what gender, if it's important. It might not be important, it might be all genders. It is also important to consider geographical location. This does not necessarily mean just the country. It can mean also urban or rural areas, because in these areas you can have a different backgrounds of your learners and different accessibility to learning or to education. Write down in the bubbles around anything about this. So I'll give you like few moments. You can add, next level is, what are the interests of this person, of these people? What do they do in a free time? What they are passionate about? Here you can include what are their shopping habits, for example, or how do they obtain their clothes, for example. What you could include here are also the social media they follow, or what kind of influencers they're following, if you are aware of this. I found it very useful to have social media that my learners or target group is following, to follow the same, so I can see what they're receiving. So for example, on a TikTok, I try to follow some of influencers they follow, so I can see what is influencing them. And now try to, if you can, identify their knowledge, what they know, or probably what they don't know. Where are the gaps? What probably they would need to know. Romy, sorry, I didn't understand the last thing you said. The knowledge, the last thing is, if you can draw at your picture, if you can draw in one bubble, what are the knowledge gaps, like the things they do not know or are not aware of, and probably the thing they, or areas where we could raise awareness. So once you have, while we wait for all of you to finish this drawing, actually, because of this, I just say a quick short story. I have TikTok because I'm working with 15, 16 years old. And it can be sometimes very surprising what you come up with. And because I was following what they are doing and the other teachers were not, I could find out that many young boys were following Andrew Tate. I don't know if you know, he's forbidden now on social media. So then we had a sitting with the teachers, and we found out that actually many guys are taking education from these men. So we had a session, and we actually educated them about this. This was not spying on them. We just wanted to know what are their interests. And many times they don't tell you what they see on social media, but through something like my research on what they're following, we found out actually very serious issues. So sometimes these things can lead you somewhere completely else. And then it's actually on the whole like educational team or a whole school to sort out and to deal with this problem. You don't have to do it yourself, of course, because we are not specialists in everything, but it's good to involve other educators as well. So once you have your drawing, I have some here from Slovakia, probably you don't see it, but this is something what I keep on my, oh yeah, thank you. Mel, this is something what I always keep in front of me when I'm working on some project or when we are developing educational materials. This is great reminder because once you go out of this path, it will reflect on the work you are doing and you can lose their focus or their involvement. So let's go to another aspect of the education, which I consider it's very, very relevant. And in our team, we learned hard way that it's necessary for a good education. And it's evaluation of our work we've done already and work we are doing, work in progress. The evaluation and reflection are necessary like for moving forward in the right direction and to measure the effectiveness and dynamic of the educational process. So, and it's a loop where we evaluate and measure the process from its initial point to the end state of the learner's knowledge and skills. So to rightly evaluate our work, we need to start evaluation at the beginning of the process. So by assessing, like at the beginning of education, we need to know where we are starting the education. So this involves evaluation of the initial learners' knowledge, their skills, experience, mindset, and attitudes. Here we want to know from learner what they know, what's their experience, if they ever came across this topic, anything they have ever experienced with the topic we are bringing to them, what is their opinion on it, their likes and dislikes, or maybe some habits they have around this topic. Then in this process, we do the education itself, educating, it's the educational process itself. Which has to be done in understandable terms, clearly, ideally with points, with some check-in points, when we make sure that our audience understands. So it's these questions, we ask them about things what we just said, if they understand them, to repeat them. And if they don't, then we explain the idea or thought we have in different words, or we use visuals. Next point is reflecting. So we check after the education process, we check on what was learned and what we know now in comparison to the beginning of the activity. And then simple question, have we achieved what we wanted? Have we achieved the desired outcome, the desired shift? And here we try to measure the level of the progress in knowledge or in skills. This is something what we can measure right at the spot. With attitudes, as I said, we measure it over longer time. And why is this important? As I said, we learned it hard way, because if you don't check on your work, you can repeat the same mistake and again, and the other side will not understand or will be rejecting your education or your activity or your efforts, or you yourself become tired, and it's a waste of work, time, and energy. So that's why, to make it effective and move forward in the right direction, evaluation is must. It's very important. So now I would like to present the example of educational program, the very first one we created purely on the needs of young people from our team. They were 16, 17 at the time. It was before pandemic. And they decided to be active and educate their peers at school about the fashion industry, its impacts, and to promote the solutions, like how to change your shopping habits, how to save the world. They really were very, very active. This came from frustration with their classmates who were lacking any information or interest at all about clothes they were shopping for. So these were young girls who created one-year program. We later set it up for 1 school year, where they wanted to first educate their classmates or peers about fashion industry. Then they wanted to organize mentoring of local designers to mentor them to create own clothes from the secondhand clothing. And at the end, as a reward, they would organize zero waste event where they would present this clothing to the public. But at the very first stage, at the education part, they were hit with reality and they realized they are not educated enough to educate others. So at this point, they tried this program at schools, in their own school. It didn't work. So at this point, senior members of our team, experts in the topic, we stepped in and contributed to the workshops and presentation. And we actually did not just that one school, we did multiple, like many schools in Bratislava. Together it was over 100 secondary school students who joined voluntarily this program and participated in workshops where they learned about fashion industry. It was basic introduction into the realities of the fashion industry and its impacts, because back then the social media were not so full of this topic as it is now. So it was very new for them. We were talking about garment production, garment workers, consumption, overconsumption, textile waste, but also as well, which is very important, solutions, positive solutions to it. The main point for us was to draw their attention of these young people to this topic and open door for them slightly, because then once the door is open, they can find their own way and go deeper by themselves. They know how to scroll, they know how to search for things, but they need to know which direction. The second and the third part of the program was, of course, organized then by with our supervision and mentorship of experts from our team, including local designers and professional event manager. These two parts were aimed to develop skills to create their own clothing from the secondhand and proudly present it at the event organized by themselves. So it was not about knowledge, but practical learning of how to do these things. Based on this experience, we decided to create educational materials for others who would like to organize this program or the part of it. And I would like to say here that these materials are not highly sophisticated. They're in a plain language. And the idea was that any 16-year-old student or young person who would like to make this program can take these manuals and this online course, and they can organize everything, all of it from beginning till the end by themselves. So that's why we also ran and tested these materials, what we created, with secondary school students as well. This program had 2 years. First was creating of those materials, and second year was the testing them. So in second year, we gave these materials to students, and we were watching if they understand and if they can make this program by themselves. Yes, materials are available online. We have something called Recycle, everybody pronounces it differently, Academy. It's sort of umbrella world. I will talk about it later. And within this little platform is also this project. I would like to say there is online course, which was created also with the help of Ian Cook, who is a professor at Exeter. He's he is in part of Fashion Revolution for many years. Online course can be, you can go on a surface or you can go deeper. It's really up to you how deep you will go. Then there is, as a part of educational process, there is also a manual for organizing fashion activities, which is a little manual how to organize some sort of fashion-related events at schools or in a class or at youth centers. And you can pick one activity for 1 hour or for half day or for the whole day. You can pick and combine these activities and adapt them, of course, to your target group. Then the second part is a manual of mentoring. This mentoring manual for making clothes from secondhand with the help of local designers and how to approach them and what to do. And the last one is zero waste event management manual. And this manual is step by step how to prepare the event. From this case study, it was the first big project for us. We've learned that it's extremely necessary to address exact needs of the target group if we want them to be committed to the process and to be fully involved, because the attention span can be short, and if they lost the interest, they're gone. Second thing, young people with the right mentoring can be excellent educators and even better educators sometimes than expert like us when they're educating their own peers, because they sort of become idols and they follow them and they listen to them better. As a part of this program, some students decided to follow up an example of the leader student, and they did no shopping for clothes challenge, and then more people tried it. I'm not sure if they succeeded, but the idea is that they were following them as an idol. And the last thing we learned is that educational activities are always more relevant when they reflect the lives of learners and when the learnings from it can be implemented back into their lives. And that's the point of education, actually. When things are personal, they are better remembered. So second project we had, it came from during the pandemic, and it was the need for online education, which was accessible and doable at home settings. And already before that, we were asked by teachers or educators if we could provide them with some support materials for online learning. And actually, at this part, we identified educators as our second target group. So we had 2 pictures like this. And we tried to connect them in this project. So considering these 2 target groups, one educators and the second target group still 15 to 20 years old young people in Slovakia. Connecting these 2, we develop educational materials connecting formal and non-formal education. Formal education, that's school. Non-formal education, it's more fun, after school activities in youth centers, etc. And we connected all this with the fashion industry topics. So we designed lessons which were created by experts on topic, the text lessons, and the video versions of this lesson we made with young people, or these video lessons were done by young people. So we are trying to educate about impacts of fashion industry through subjects of formal education, such as mathematics, geography, biology, for example. So we have geography lesson, math lesson, ethics lessons. Learners explore their own wardrobe, shopping habits, knowledge, or ability to care for their own clothes, skills to mend them. They calculate, for example, the length of the journey of their t-shirt as a math lesson. Or as another math lesson is, they calculate how many clothes they actually do not wear, what they have in their wardrobe. So they have to clear their closet arrange it, organize it, and also use calculate some percentage with it. They learn about natural and synthetic materials, processes of their production, its effects on people and society. Also there is also psychology lessons. But they also learn as well what they can do as consumers or citizens, that they can make conscious decisions when shopping or obtaining clothes, or take initiative to be active and voice their opinions, and that their voice matters, because many, they do not know that. These lessons are designed primarily for home self-learners, but can be as a support materials for school education. So any teacher can come, pick one lesson and use it at their lessons. They are designed to be 45 to 60 minutes. And again, the language is simple, understandable, with references for further study. So if anybody wants to go further, it's up to them. What we learn in this project, that formal and non-formal education actually can work very well together to bring non-traditional topics, as is fashion, into formal education settings, which are schools, because usually at schools, at least here in Slovakia, we don't have nothing about fashion. And it helps teachers to expand their curriculum. The second things we learned actually was, because this was bigger project with more teams, Fashion Revolution teams, we learned that collaboration of 6 teams from different countries this way we can learn a lot about cultural differences between our teams. So as a Fashion Revolution teams, we started to understand each other a little bit better. We get to know each other better. And we had a deeper understanding of our, for example, even work differences. And the last thing which we learned in this project as well, those 16 years old from the first project were already in there around 20 in this one, 1920. And we involved them in project management and implementation right away. It's like sort of you throw them in the water and now swim. Of course, you mentor them and you watch them. But in our team, for example, we had one person, she was 20, and we let her do also finances, in a sense that of course, it was one, she had some limitations. Of course, she couldn't approve payments, etc. But we let her do the finances, and it proved to be excellent education for her future projects, what she was doing. And she helped us in the other project. So involvement of young people also in these senior activities was excellent. And some of them actually it seems that they're becoming experts in this field as a project management. So a third project I would like to show today is, or explain today, is based on years and years of workshops and presentations and sort of educational activities. And we were always lacking some sort of physical tool for workshops with educational aspect, some tools related to fashion industry. We had many about environment, many about society, but specific to fashion, we had nothing. So we produced, we call it Game of Clothes. Actually, one team member from Hungary, Fashion Revolution Hungary team, she came up with this name, Game of Clothes, and we created 3 games about the fashion industry, which can be used in various settings and in different ways. They are very, very adaptable. They're great for educators to lead the conversation, but also to explore the various angles of the topic. So these 3 games, just quickly. First one, it's memory game of opposites. It's the game when players they have to find pairs of the same word of the cards. The cards are upside down, and they open one by one. 2 cards, the same terminology, but different pictures. And it's up to players to find connection between these 2 pictures, or why are these pictures there, and what is the meaning of this pair. Second game is a role play game. This one was actually as well a learning curve for us, because in this game we learned that we have to, as educators, be very empathetic and manage also emotions of the learners or players, because this game is a role play where players act as a children of parents who are somehow connected or working within fashion industry. So we have a daughter or son of cotton farmer, garment worker, shop owner, and each player is in their that specific person reality. And we play the game, and sometimes the players, they can go very deep, and since these are teenagers, they can get really emotional. So for this, for example, we had to be fully aware of emotion of every person playing it. And the last game, it's a statement game. This is game where are some sort of like cards with a statement about fashion industry. And this is great for as a starting conversation point, or we have debates at schools where you have teams, they have debate against each other, and they also have to I don't know the word in English, but they have to sometimes fight for some statement which is not their belief, but as part of the game they have to fight for this statement as a group. So this is for developing critical thinking, argumenting, and thinking during discussions, and also like how to go through the dialogue effectively. And again, this game we have them in a physical version, which is already all over the Slovakia. We don't have it by ourselves anymore, but it's available online for download, so we can download it and cut the cards from the paper. So here we learned that any visual tools greatly support education. Like it's really true that one picture is 1,000 words. Then second thing we learned from this case study, that not just playing, but also developing games can be a learning curve. And as a team, we get a great experience. We didn't develop these games by ourselves. We had game developing organization working with us as leaders of the project. And the last thing was that, and that was I think the biggest one, that we have to, as educators, we have to properly listen every word what our learners are saying and put it in like sort of meaning, like why they are saying it and why they are saying it this way, and reflects on their emotions and be empathetic with them, with the aim to like rightly and effectively direct the education, because sometimes you can have also conflict situations and you need to, as an educator, then you need to step in and sort it, or like sort of feel the energy of the group. Especially with when you as an educator you are as a game master in these games. So I go back to Resicool Academy, what we spoke before. While doing this project, we realized we need some place to present this project, and as well some sort of space where we put all our materials we are working with. So we call it Resicool Academy. It has an online library featuring recommendations for further reading, listening, watching, and infographics. But all this can be found on, or most of it can be found on Fashion Revolution resources as well. We have it only here, so people who look at the projects have directly these materials there. But apart from this, as educators, we had to learn a few not entirely related things ourselves. And if we wanted to develop these educational materials, we had to learn project design, implementation, management. We have to improve our digital skills, team management, organizational management. So there was a lot of things we had to go through as educators if we wanted to be successful with our education. And we did mostly this on a senior level, but since then, as I said before on examples, we passed a lot of these knowledge and skills to the junior staff on many occasions. And I can say now we are much stronger to participate in projects. We know what to do. We have sort of like internal manuals or guidelines how to do it. So that was big learning for us as educators. So what makes a good educator then? There is a lot of things which need to be considered. And along the way, I would like to start with one thing. Even when we do mistakes, and we do mistakes also as educators, and we sometimes touch somebody's feelings, or we do something wrong and the group is frustrated or something, this will happen always. I think we have to just take it and move on. This is one of the things we have to understand. It's never going to be perfect. But what we should have on mind, we should be cultivating some sort of love for learning. So this means not just to teach the curriculum, but also inspire curiosity and like sort of desire to explore more beyond the textbook. So they go and search for themselves, or over a year or two later they realize, oh, I heard that there on that lesson. I'll have a look what they meant. It doesn't have to be necessary right now, their feedback. It can come later. We need to foster critical thinking and problem solving skills. So especially in today's world, especially with social media, I'm sure you heard it a million times, but they need to be able to analyze information and like sort of solve problems creatively, not to repeat some sort of patterns they are given. I'm talking about Slovakian target group, especially now, 15 to 20 years old young people. Promote emotional intelligence. So it's like an ability to emphasize with others. A good educator, as I said, we need to be empathetic. And we need to sort of encourage a shift in their attitude, in their minds, and in their values, challenging these values and involve them in some sort of challenging existing prejudices and, to support their open-mindedness. So bit in this area as well. Then it's good, at least what we do, we adapt various educational strategies, and sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't work. We try next one, from multimedia resources to hand-on activities. There is a variety of things. What is very useful is this mentoring and guiding, because we are sort of like role models. We can guide them through personal challenges and overall development. And through this, as I mentioned on previous examples, you can also onboard youth ambassadors and bring new and valuable people to your teams. It is very important to assess and give feedback. That's give feedback on the growth and progress of learners, and also assess own self-development. What is important, it's to be committed to personal development. It means basically the good educator has to like the education. So to like it also mean to be on the top of whatever educational research and strategies are there, whatever initiatives are coming. And it is very sort of exciting and fun also to build a community by sort of fostering inclusion and collaboration within a group of your learners. So to finish this workshop, please go back to your drawing and think about, doesn't have to be now, maybe later, think about your target group learners. It can be very confusing because you might have plenty of them, but try to look at the world through their eyes and try to get in their mindset. And even you can look at yourself through their eyes to see yourself, how they see you. And to provide good quality and sort of effective education for them, please do start at this point. Always try to understand the side you are talking to. So please keep this drawing, keep it at your table or at your work desk. And now, if you would like to ask any questions, or Mel, are there any questions?
Yeah, so firstly, I want to say a massive thank you, Martina. I'm sure everyone will join me in saying this has been a really helpful workshop, and the fact that all of these resources are open source is just incredible. We did have one question, which was wanting to know your journey. How did you become an educator? Where did you start learning about the things you now speak on?
I quickly, I used to have a slow fashion brand. I was doing upcycling ages ago. People were questioning like, why do you upcycle old clothes? You don't have money for new materials. Why you are designing new from old? Why just don't you buy a new fabric? So that was the first education I had to do in my surroundings. But I moved countries from Holland to Slovakia, and I had a life lesson because shopping power of a Dutch people is different to Slovakian people. And I thought I will just continue my work. And suddenly my brand went down, my business went down because I did not did the research myself before I moved the countries with the brand and production. But what happened at the same time, I had spare summer, July, August, and I said, let's try to do a summer camp for like 5 or 6 kids in the area where I was based in Bratislava, in capital. And at this summer camp, we were creating clothes and upcycling. So we were doing outfit. Within 1 week, the task was to make outfit from a daddy's shirt and mommy's jeans. And at the end of the week, they should present it at their small fashion show. And at the end of the week, I realized that fashion show, what they had, those, wonky and like kids made funny clothes really are the biggest, much bigger happiness for my heart than my own collection I ever the whole year on. So then I stopped and I was thinking, does this world need another coat from my collection, or this world need child who can fix its own clothes? And that's when I decided. This gave me the direction, and over time I started to work in after school programs where I was teaching upcycling and sewing and basic skills, and it grew because somehow I find the joy with kids, and especially I'm able to openly talk with the teenagers, and somehow these after school activities turned into sort of sometimes even therapy, not therapy sessions, but it's very relaxing. And the kids, they liked it, and it became, and then I realized I need to learn more about education myself if I want to go forward. And it started this way, then started to grow and grow, and that's where I am now. I had to develop myself.
Amazing. I didn't know that, and that was such a good story. We have another question around, do you have any advice or experience of helping people maybe who are neurodivergent and how you'd approach that? I know, being one myself, having the tactileness of the game as a kid, I would have absolutely loved that. Don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I'm not expert on this. However, we have these kids sometimes in a summer camp, and you have kids with a different, like, sort of abilities. That's why in the summer camps, when we do them, we have maximum group of 7 children per one person, per one assistant. And sometimes I find it extremely hard when we have some child with some different, which needs some different approach. I'm not expert on it. I would not dare to give advice on it. But what I found is that we always have to appreciate whatever work they do, because they put effort in it. They need to be appreciated. And the last thing what children, or these are small kids, but the last thing what they should hear is that they are not good or they are not good enough, because over time they start to believe it, and it sets them for the life. And I can see in these small ones, and if they cannot do something, then help, I usually like sort of help them and a little bit cheat, like, okay, they do something, but they need support and encouragement. And just because they don't know something, that doesn't mean maybe they will never need it, maybe they will learn it over time. But just this, like, kindness and patience. Patience is one of the things you have to have sometimes, and you need to also deep breath, breathe in, out, and evaluate the situation, because you will come with, like, at least I come in some different situations and energies between students or children, and then quickly evaluate it and react on it. But specifically, I don't know if I can, I don't dare to give some specific advice. But anything, I will tell you something. Anything is good. If they do it, if they try it, that's good enough. That's already good for me.
We are at time, so if people need to drop off, that's completely fine. We do have some more questions. Martina, someone would like to know why you, like, when you first joined Fashion Revolution and why, and when you joined the Slovakian team, who was one of your first kind of target groups and how did you reach them?
So I always say that I was Fashion Revolution before Fashion Revolution, because trying to convince all the family to go to secondhand, but it was just like lots of the time and energy, because I was like black sheep in this. So when the Rana Plaza happened, I was on Facebook and I shared it with my family and friends, and nobody reacted, and that made me so angry. I was furious, and actually I have this anger till today, like, because this ignorance that people ignore this, and I think that's what gives me power. And back then, I think Sash Brown was doing social media for Fashion Revolution. What I've heard, she was in New York or something, and she has some time to do. And they had amazing, like, informative posts about this. So I started to follow them. So basically, I know Fashion Revolution from beginning. But I was based in Holland. When I moved to Slovakia in 2017, of course, I joined Fashion Revolution team in Slovakia right away. And back then, it was pre-pandemic. In Slovakia, the situation was slightly different than in West, because in West, you had many organizations who were talking about garment workers' rights. In Slovakia, this was new topic. So whatever we brought, whatever post, whatever interview on media was new for people here. So we were literally raising awareness and going and talking about the same things again and again, because it was a very new topic here. Luckily, now it's different. It's not new anymore. There is a lot of influencers, and they pass this information on in different outlets, social media outlets. Our target group back then, and that's the thing, was everybody. So we were going to public, and you couldn't measure your effectiveness. We were activists. We wanted to save the world, but we were doing, like, hello, like, we are here, let's save the world. We didn't have a plan and proper structure. It became a little bit exhaustive for the team, and over time we realized, we sat down, whole team, and we said we need to start to work within some structure. We need to focus on things. Of course, you give some sort of statements or interviews for public, and we do social media, etc. But it's impossible to cover everybody. You cannot. So this was the learning curve what we had to go through as a team, and it as well bring the downside of the team, because we had some members leaving. They were tired. They didn't know how to go forward, because it was too much all the time. So over time, once we were more structuralized, we were ready for these big projects. And then, because of these young people around us and in our team, this became our target group. I think I hope I answered the question.
Yes, very much did. Brilliant. I'm not sure if we have any more questions, but we have kept you for quite a bit of time. So yeah, once again, if you just join me in thanking Martina for such a brilliant workshop, we're very grateful that you came. I know I learned lots, and will continue to. That was the entire essence of the workshop. So thank you so much for joining us wherever you are in the world. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Yeah, we have one final workshop on Tuesday on storytelling. If you've missed any throughout the week, they will eventually go on YouTube. Yeah, brilliant to have you here, and hope we'll see you very shortly. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. And good luck.